All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. India has successfully ensured that its key priorities continue to shape the G20 leaders' declaration that was adopted at the South African summit. The declaration has strongly condemned terror in every form, highlighting India's unwavering position on this issue. The declaration points to the important role of digital public infrastructure. It also repeats India's commitment to using digital and new technologies. The document restates India's food security principles and gives recognition to traditional and complementary medicine in healthcare. A major achievement for India in the declaration has been the adoption of more ambitious language on the issue of climate finance. The declaration calls for increasing climate finance from billions to trillions of dollars. It also notes that developing nations need to close to about $6 trillion to reach their climate targets by the year 2030. And finally, India's push for reforming the United Nations Security Council to improve its representation finds a clear mention. All right, now joining us on the broadcast, we've got WION's Siddhant who's joining us with more information on the G20 declaration. Siddhant, tell us more. A number of India's objectives find mention in the G20's joint communique.
Well, yes, Mohammed, there was a lot of echo in terms of what happened here in Delhi in terms of the G20 Summit and echoing of that language in the Johannesburg statement as well. There is a LIFE initiative, which is a campaign of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi when it comes to sustainable lifestyle, whether it is the CDRI, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, that has been one of the key platforms in terms of financing climate-resistant infrastructure, whether it is, of course, terrorism and, of course, the UNSC reforms as well. India has been calling for UNSC reforms, urgently calling for UNSC reforms, but we know there has been delay, especially at the negotiations, the text-based negotiations that are happening in the UN. But essentially, the big win also come in terms of climate change as well. Also, the focus remains on women-led development. That was one of the key outcomes of the G20 summit here in Delhi. But all in all, the focus is as to how countries of the global south can work together at a time when it looks like under Donald Trump there will be a lot of policy changes. Now remember that the G20 summit's presidency has been so far going on to developing countries, whether it's Indonesia, whether it is India, whether it is, of course, now South Africa. Now, of course, after South Africa, it comes to US, and we have seen the public bickering in terms of how Donald Trump has been boycotting the summit, and the South African side clearly saying that it's a snub not only to the G20 but also to the African continent and to the global south. In fact, this is the first ever G20 summit to take place on the African soil. So a pretty significant G20 summit that is currently underway in Johannesburg.
Indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant, for joining us with all those updates there. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.